I need a lid support that I can rotate up to hold the lid at an acceptable angle. So to create this lid support, first I'll raise the lid up, rotate it up with the rotate tool to an angle that I think will be acceptable for holding at an open position. I guess this is about 45 degrees, which I think will work out okay. I've already located a pivot point in the side of the desk, and you can see this 5/8 diameter dowel that comes out of the side. Let me change the color of the face of that dowel, and also just give me a center point for reference. Point at center. And to show the angle of the rotation, actually, first of all, I'm going to make this lid support about 1 1/8 inch in diameter at the base location, and I need a hole in that donut. And now I can use the protractor to bring a guideline up to an angle that I think should work out for the lid support in the raised position. About here will, I think, look okay and work okay. There'll be a hole in the lid eventually at the point where the lid support points into the bottom face of the lid. I'm going to draw some tangent guidelines to the 1 1/8 inch circle that represents the diameter of the lid support at the base. There's one guideline out at 9/16 inch away from the center line, which puts it at 1 1/8 diameter. I'll just go ahead and draw in the face, a temporary face for the lid support. And at this point I'll make that a component, and I'll call that lid support 1. Okay, we've got a component, but I'm going to temporarily erase, or hide, not erase, but hide the lid so I can work on this top end here. Edit the component. I want the end of this lid support to be square, and I know that angle is not going to be square, so I'm bringing up a 90-degree angle, and I'll finish up the correct end length of this. Wait a minute, that doesn't look right. If I look closely, I can see I didn't draw that line long enough out to the guideline. Let me draw that again. Let's get the X for intersection. That really helps, noticing the X. Now I've got a square end on the end of this lid support, but I want a nice looking taper, and I want it to taper from 1 1/8 inch down at the base up to about 1/2 inch up here at the top. So that's about a 5/16 off the edge. But where do I taper to? That I forgot. I didn't place a point to start the taper. So I'm going to place a guideline. I would say about this location, so The tape, that's where the taper will end or start. And I can draw a line showing that taper and then do the same on the other side. Come down 5/16. So the 5/16 will give a 1/2 inch at the small end of the taper. I can delete this waist, and there's some extra lines down here at the bottom I can get rid of with the eraser. Looks like I've got a face on that donut hole. I need to get rid of that face. Again, delete. Now I've got a hole in the lid support, and I can use push-pull to create the 3/4 inch thickness. Okay, this looks okay from the side, but I also want the taper from the looking down on top of the support, and we could do that several different ways, but what I will do is actually just copy this edge over. This would be 1/8 of an inch, and copy this edge over 1/8 of an inch, giving a 1/2 inch in the middle there. So I've got a 1/2 inch square at the small tapered end. And then to finish this tapering in the other direction, I'll draw lines from those intersect points down to the place where the tapering starts, and do that on both faces, the top and bottom face. This process could also be done with the intersect, creating another shape that protrudes through perpendicular and creates intersections that you could also, but this is a little bit easier than running intersect. Now I can delete out the waist. Oops, I've lost my faces. Let's see, how can I get those faces back? Probably the easiest way is to draw a line where that guideline is that starts the taper. Yes, that closes up the face. Do that on the other side. And continue to delete the waste material. Okay. A little bit of cleanup. We've got some extra edges that shouldn't show, so I can use the eraser with the control key to smooth out those extra edges. There's one here. Then there's another. Let's get rid of this guideline and get rid of that edge on the back face. And that pretty much completes the lid support. And I can bring back the lid. I want to push the lid support back on the shaft, I would say about 3/8 of an inch. Then I can get a pin through the shaft to hold the lid support, keep it from coming off the end of the shaft. Now I've got a taper in 2 directions. That'll be rounded with spoke shaves and shaped a little bit